Welcome back to Malt Mondays. I'm Paul, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Aberlour 12-year-old. This is a single malt that competes directly against the likes of the Macallan and Glenmorangies in that $50 to $60 price range with a sherry finish, or a sherried characteristic, I should say. You know, Balvenie has a similar thing where the Balvenie Doublewood is 11 years in ex-bourbon and then a year or so in sherry. Well, the way Aberlour does it is they actually age all the whiskey either in sherry or bourbon and then blend it together at the end. Exactly how this impacts the flavor, I'm sure is up for debate, and I guess it's more or less a preference. All it does is it allows you to more precisely control the influence of the sherry on the spirit, because rather than having all the spirit interact with the sherry wood, you can just increase or decrease the amount of sherry that you're blending in there. The other thing that I've heard about Aberlour is that they use cork bungs in their barrels. Now, I'm not sure that that's true, and I'm not sure that that would really change the flavor at all. I don't know why they do that exactly. That is something that is kind of like a unique thing to Aberlour. So we're going to go ahead and look at this bottle. And the first thing we have to point out is that it's 40% ABV. So right away, Aberlour is not meeting the expectations from their competition. You know, the Macallan, the Balvenie, Glenmorangie, these guys are all bottling at 43 or 46%, and Aberlour is still at 40. So that's a little bit disappointing. Secondly, it doesn't say anything about chill filtration or coloring. Now, we know it is chill filtered because Aberlour has a 12-year-old non-chill filtered version, and that one costs significantly more, about 50% more. Most people agree unanimously that that is the better version, but it's so much more expensive relative to this one that I just haven't gone out of my way to pick up a bottle and try it. So we're going to go ahead and see how this tastes. And I do like their unique bottle, this real squatty bottle with the big thick cork. It feels nice in the hand and it's distinctive. But all that really matters is what's in the bottle. So I'm going to see how this smells. Yeah, so right away you get a lot more sherry than you do from like the Glenmorangie La Santa. You even get more sherry than the Balvenie Doublewood too. It almost smells more like a sherry matured whiskey that was then put in ex-bourbon barrels for a little while rather than the other way around. So I would guess that they use fairly high portion of sherry in this, probably like 10 to 20% of the whiskey in this was aged in those sherry barrels. It also has a distinct kind of malty and woody note to the nose, which is interesting. A lot of these 12-year-olds, you really get stuck with kind of the basic fruits of apple and pear, and then with sherry you get some raisins. But this one has a little bit of a cereal characteristic, a little bit of a maltiness, creaminess. Not quite as sweet as like a custard, because there is almost so dry wood aroma coming out. It's really nice nose. No alcohol sharpness to it, so we're going to see how this tastes. That's really good. There's a lot of chocolate right away. I find that normally with sherry finished whiskeys, you have to wait a minute or two for the chocolate to come out. This actually is very upfront with chocolate and spice. So I would guess that this is Spanish sherry oak that they're using. That's the most common, but it definitely, in this whiskey, really there's a lot of spice. And it's surprisingly tannic, especially for a 12-year-old. This has quite a drying mouthfeel. Now, I will say that when this bottle was freshly opened, that characteristic was not present. So this bottle has changed over time. I think I've had this for about a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. So it's getting down towards the end. And I will say that although most of the characteristic of this whiskey is the same as a brand new bottle, there are some flavors that get adjusted in their proportions over time. I haven't found that you really have to worry about whiskey going bad in the bottle, but subtle changes can occur. And I will say this has become a little more of the wood flavors pronounced as opposed to the light orchard fruits, which in my original tasting notes, I had more of those apples and pears written down. And now I get more of the sherry and the wood coming out. So that is something to be aware of if you open up a brand new bottle of this and you're like, oh, that tastes nothing like wood. I don't know where he's getting these tasting notes from. That could be a batch difference, but I think it's a lot to do with the fact that I've had this bottle open for quite a while. Now, the problem you're going to have with this whiskey is that it's priced usually at $60 to $65, at least in my area. So it's about $10 more than its competition. It's a lower percent ABV, and it's got coloring added. Add all that up, I'm going to give this an 82. I like it. I like it quite a bit. This used to be probably my favorite 12-year-old sherry whiskey, but the problem is there's a lot of competition in the category that this whiskey falls in, and most of its competition is cheaper and just as good, if not better. So I'm going to have to give this an 82. It's great, but it gets beat out by its competition just a little bit. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, share this with your friends, and leave a comment down below about what you've been drinking and what you think of the Aberlour 12-year-old. See you next time.